Hey you folks, Chloe here, and welcome to Europa Universalis for a guide to the new custom nation designer that when it's included with Dorado. Dorado is an expansion that added lots of new gameplay features, but one of the most significant ones is probably the fact that you can now create your own custom nations in the game. And it's a bit of a tricky process. There's a couple of things that you need to sort of understand and kind of grope to really be able to use the nation designer properly. So I figured to make a bit of a guide. Also, the nation we're going to design in this game is the nation I'm going to be playing in my upcoming Let's Play. So let's pop right into single player mode. Right away, I do want to address the fact that if you're a new player in EU4, I actually don't recommend that you necessarily use the nation designer. And the reason for that is there's a lot to be gained from playing, the normal sort of historical nations. There's a lot more history and interesting stuff there. It's really a tool for people who I think have played the game a bit and want to try something a little bit different, a little bit wacky. The other thing to note is most of the nations, if not all the nations in the game, have a variety of special historical events and decisions that add a lot more flavor to the gameplay as that nation. Whereas if you play a nation that is completely customized, you won't really get to take advantage of that, because you'll have you just won't get those special custom events, unfortunately. There's still going to be some stuff based on culture, for example, but you might not get quite as much. That being said, it's a pretty awesome tool. So before we actually get into the custom nation button, what we have to talk about are the different options in terms of game creation you can do. Most of these are still the same. The big new ones are the custom nation difficulty, which ranges from, there you go, from very easy all the way to very hard. And what this does is it controls how many points you get to spend designing your nation. At 800, you can make a nation that's far more powerful than, say, France at the start of the game, for example. At 50, you're going to make a relatively small nation. It will be somewhat challenging, but not, it's still stronger than maybe starting at something like Ulm, for example, like a one province minor. You should be able to make a little bit more than that depending on where you start. I'm going to go ahead and go hard. So, not tons of points to spend, but enough to keep things interesting. Now, the most important thing though, is this nations. Historical setup, normal setup, custom setup, and random setup. If you go historical setup, you cannot use a custom nation. So this is people are only allowed to pick from the normal historical nations that are there. So if you're playing maybe a multiplayer game, you don't want people to use the custom nation designer, you can just go to historical nations. Next one is the normal setup, which is the exact same map. It's the normal map with all the normal nations, but you can now play a custom nation. It's worth noting with a custom nation, the way it starts is you hit this button, and then it asks you to pick a province to use as a capital. You can pick any province. You could start down here and pick a uninhabited province over here, for example. That is totally fine. Or you can take a province that belongs to someone else. For example, I could take Languedoc over here, and I'm starting a new nation, which by default will be named based on the province that I clicked on, but of course I can rename it to whatever I want. At this point, you can continue to click on provinces to add them to your new country. Let's leave that one there just because our color is too close to Aragon. And the more provinces you add, the more expensive you get. So you can see here, we have actually a relatively large nation set up here, and it only costs us 100 points. That is with a totally average leader of 2222. We are a Western group, a Western technology group, because we have started in Western Europe. We're going to be Catholic, again, because we started in Western Europe. The culture and everything is set based on the first province that we clicked, which is Duck. So you can see here, at 100 points, we actually make a pretty beefy nation. It is pretty scary, the sort of stuff you can do. We have relatively generic ideas. Well, not generic ideas necessarily so much as all level 1 ideas. And again, our kind of a negative or generic sort of rule over here at 222. Same thing with our air. Things can get a lot more expensive if you do something really wacky. Like, say, we come down here, and Kumasi over here I know is a gold province. So if I go custom nation and I mouse over here, first of all, when you mouse over the provinces, you can see the point cost of each province. Now, mostly they are sort of kind of close to their tax base. So you can see here tax base of 2, tax base of 2. They both cost 3. Gold Coast here slightly more expensive. Going on there, maybe there's a special trade estuary, something like that. It's not really defined here. Kumasi though is 17 for a tax base of 4. I don't know if we've got another tax base of 4 here that we can easily pair to. Oh, right over here. So we've got a tax base of 4 on the coast here, which is got ivory and is worth 9. It's coastal, it's got ivory, it's worth 9. Kumasi's worth 17, despite not being coastal, and in fact having a lot less manpower. You can see the manpower value here is 1 as opposed to a 3, but it's got gold, which is valuable. We'll go ahead and click on that. We'll set up a bit of a nation. Anyway, let me eat this guy as well, just because he's got a pretty color of blue and jealous. So then what we can do is we can rename our nation. So let's go ahead and name ourselves, say, Belgium. If we're making a weird, wacky, fictional nation, let's go ahead with a name that obviously doesn't exist in real life, ever. Inside joke if you're new to the channel. So we're going to create a Belgium over here. We can change our map color, that whatever we want to look like on the map. I'm quite a fan of picking things that will stand out from other people. And there's sort of a darkish, the dark blue's not bad, but it's this one here, this dark purple. There's not really anyone in this area that looks the same. Plus the European powers that are likely to come and settle in this area. We're going to get Castile, or later Spain, Portugal, France, maybe England. Those are really the likely people to show up down here, and they don't have the same color. And that's basically the big reason I'm doing that. We can pick a flag. We can randomize it if we want. I like the winged horse, actually. I don't know if it probably belongs to an actual nation. It's like a winged horse stabbing a dragon. Oh, I'm thinking this is what, like St. George? This is like an English thing? I actually have no idea. I'm terrible at flags. But you can cycle through the emblems, pick a different design. Again, I like to pick something that will sort of be easy to see and stand out. Maybe this pointed thing here is going to be quite good. You can't change the color of the emblem, and that's because some of the emblems, like this one here, have multiple colors in. So they're just a flat graphic. People have figured out that you can replace these graphic files in your folder, so if you really want to make something totally custom, you can absolutely do that. You can change your background stripiness. I suppose if we're playing as Belgium, you know what, maybe we'll just make... That's probably better, isn't it? So we're looking for 3 vertical stripes. Not that one, there's probably another. Not horizontal, vertical. There we go. That's pretty good. And if we go down to the emblem of 1, I believe that's blank. There we go. So now the flag color. So the Belgian flag is, I think, black. There we go. That looks black and yellow. I should probably do this and double check. I'm not accidentally creating Germany or something. I think German flag goes the other way around. And it's red on the right, if I recall correctly. Oh, God. Hang on. Hang on. Let me Google. Belgium flag is... There we go. Black, yellow, red. Pretty good. All right, I'm going to say that's pretty good. The next thing you want to do is you want to flip your... These sort of arrows here will flip you to a whole different page. This is where you get a lot more control over your nation, for example. So, here, we're going to want to go and set our culture, religion, government, map, graphics, and technology group. Again, your technology group is set based on where you're settling in the world. Based on where we clicked. Oh, we actually got the Muslim tech group as a default by clicking on Kumasi. When I ran this first, I think I started by clicking on, actually, Abami first. And I think it set my tech group to Sub-Saharan, which is interesting. I think ultimately the cost is the same. So you can get a little cheaper if you're Sub-Saharan. Muslim is decent. I'm going to go all the way up to Eastern because I want, my whole thing here is I want to start off as a relatively small nation and not too many like crazy powers or anything like that. But my advantage is I want to start as an Eastern, a good technology group in Africa. Now, Western was obviously the best. A, it is more expensive, but B, if I'm Western, the powers next to me can Westernize based on me. Whereas if I go Eastern, which is only slightly less good than Western, they can't Westernize, and I still have a pretty decent edge. Next thing we're going to have to choose is the religion. And what I want to do is I actually want to choose one of the new religions. I want to choose Nahuatl, which is the Aztec religion. Now, if you pick the actual Aztecs, or if you're playing as the North American or South American tech group, then you will start with the normal Aztec religion with the Doom counter. Because I'm Eastern, it's actually going to start me off as the Reformed Aztec religion. And one of the things you can't see here is that the Reformed Aztec religion gets plus 2% missionary strength, which is really important because we're going to be all alone religiously here. If we take a look, we've got a lot of animists, some Sunni, some shamanists down here, and of course the Christians are going to come into Africa at some point. Everyone is going to hate us, which is why this nation is going to be all about waffle-based warfare. We are going to have to bring the pain to our opponents. We're going to have a very, very militaristic nation to be able to fend off both the early competition, but also the late competition. We have to choose our base culture. I am going to go for my base culture of my people. I'm going to go and make myself Flemish. But as a nod to the real-life Belgium, of course, we are going to make sure that our dynasty has a very French name. Just to, you know, mix of French and Flemish. I think that's pretty good. And we're going to go with 18. French word for 18. And I'm going to have my ruler is going to be Quill. My heir, male, can also start with no heir, is going to be Quill the second, like that. And here's what I'm going to do. We are definitely going to want to grab religious ideas early on, which means we need the administrative ability to get to tech level 4. Furthermore, take an idea, and the religious idea group is religious. Plus, we're probably going to want to core a lot of stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and invest in a 6 admin strength ruler right away. I'm also going to make myself as young as possible. Note if you hold shift, you'll go in tens, which is useful. Also note that my ruler, the cost of my ruler here changes depending on my age. One thing to note is the game considers 222 to be totally neutral. It doesn't matter. This is not good nor bad. If I go and make my ruler a 000, I get points back, and the younger he is, the more points I get back. Because if I'm older, I'm about to die soon, so it's worth less. Same thing if it's strong leader, then it gets more expensive if I'm young and cheaper if I'm old. I'll go ahead and, I don't know. We'll leave it like this for now. I do want lots of administrative power. We'll come back and revisit that. My heir, meanwhile, is going to be crap. I'm going to try to actually use him as a military leader and hope he dies. The other thing I could do is actually make him much, much older to encourage him to heal over and die. But right now, I'll go for the maximum disc. I'll leave him at 15 because I can use him as a military person right away. I'm pretty sure at 15. Government type, a lot of them are zeros, and some of them are a little bit more valuable, like if you want to start as a republic. The nice thing about being Flemish is I can actually convert into being a republic if I want to. I do have to meet certain criteria. I can also start as a Dutch republic, which is a really, really strong ability. But I think we might go feudal monarchy. We might end up doing some vassals. That's the other interesting thing about being Eastern here is we can vassalize these guys as opposed to make them protectorates. And I do like vassalizing people. Also, because of our religious differences and cultural differences, it's going to be extremely painful to go and annex provinces. Differences. So we'll see what we can do. Oligarchic republic. Lowers autonomy. That's really cool. Got the native council here. Fewer diplomatic relations, which makes the vassalling particularly hard. But wow, those are really strong. I don't know. We could go something really weird. Steppe nomad is a little annoying with the autonomy, but they are kind of powerful in other things. I don't know. I'm tempted to try something really bizarre. I actually have no idea. If I went native council, would that do something like really broken and bizarre? And also, how do I reform my religion or my government later on? Here's the other thing: theocracy. Yeah, I think the tolerance of the heretics is actually going to be a little bit more important. A despotic monarchy with the lowered national arrest is actually super valuable. We can also, with cheaper unjustified demands, we can save a lot of diplomatic points by annexing people. We might actually be despots. You know what? Let's be despots. I think that'll work out relatively well for us. We can change our map graphics. Let's go ahead and make ourselves look Western, just because. All right, that's all good. That's all good. Next is probably the biggest screens here is your ideas page. This is where you can spend a lot of points. What you do is you set up your traditions, ideas, and ambitions. So traditions are things you always have running. Right from the beginning, you have this in effect, which means that these are going to be slightly more expensive than the others because you start with these. You can shuffle them around. Like I could take the production efficiency, move it down here, and I can take the discipline bonus and move it up here. But if I did that, in fact, I can do that. If I do, let's see, if I grab this, get the discipline bonus, I think the production efficiency will swap down to here. Right now we're at 53 points. Oh, the same cost. Is the level 1 free? The level 1 discipline is free. Wow. But you can see the level 2 would cost 5 points, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, see, the level 2 of discipline costs 5 points, but if I take level 2 here, it's actually going to cost me 10. And that's because it's a tradition that I have right from the beginning. So I do have to spend a little extra for that. If you mouse over your points used over here, you'll get the breakdown. You can see here, it's charging me the extra 5 because traditions and early ideas cost more. So starting off with powerful traditions costs more. Starting off with early ideas at higher levels costs more than if you're leveling up the later ones, for example. I think ambition has no extra cost whatsoever. I don't know if there's any extra cost to this one here. It looks like no. Thinking this actually normally costs 5. Take a look here. Trade, that would be under diplomatic. Trade efficiency. Normally goes 0, 5, 15, 30. So 0 for the first one, 5 for the second one, 10 more, which is a total of 15 for the level 3, and 15 more, which is a total of 30. Okay, so yeah, they're not charging us extra for the ideas down here. However, you will notice down here we got a breakdown of how many idea points basically we have between admin, diplomatic, and military. Yeah, how many levels. So if I do pump this up, you can see here I'm getting more and more diplo, up to 50%. Now that's fine, but if I take, what else is a diplomatic? Global trade power. If I put in one more level of global trade power here, this brings me above 50% levels in diplomatic ideas, which turns red, and I actually have to pay a little extra for that. You can see here I'm paying an extra 7.9 because I'm so heavily weighted towards diplomatic. So the system encourages you to spread out along the 3 areas. Although you do have a pretty big window. You can have a pretty like military oriented group and still do okay. And in fact, we are going to focus on that because we're going to be doing, again, a lot of crazy sort of religious warfare going on here. I like the idea of starting with the bonus discipline. We, of course, are also going to start with the bonus 10% morale from our religious group, which is nice. I think I might actually want to pump up the discipline a little bit higher. It is worth noting that you can't have something more than once. Like this military police here with the discipline bonus, if I try to get it over here, can't do that. I can't. It would be nice to have start with 2.5, then add 2.5, but it doesn't let you do that. You can only have this particular idea modifier the one time. So I have to decide, do I want to start with it right away or not? And I'm quite keen on starting with right away. I think I'll actually keep the national tax modifier from the start because there's a lot of money to be made from that. We'll see. I do want to start with the discipline. It costs so much to level it up. But it's also super good. You know what we could do? Is we could start with them tactics right from the beginning as well. Ooh, is that not in the list? Hang on. We must have tactics somewhere in here. Got infantry ability. Since we are Eastern, we can run slightly higher on cavalry than normal, but not too much more. There might not be an idea for tactics. Tactics is really valuable. There is a bonus. The discipline, higher discipline, does give you a bonus to tactics, so it is really, really, really quite good. More taxes early on is really nice. You just have a higher force limit as well. Maybe some extra fire bonus from our leaders. Ooh, that's really expensive. Holy cow. Goes the leader siege. Yeah, maybe we'll skip out on that. The level 1 morale bonus we already have. We could start with it from day 1. So then we would have, with our religion, we would end up with a 15% morale bonus, which helps us win battles faster. It doesn't help you kill as many units as discipline, but it's pretty good. And then after that, we're going to focus on, I mean, we'll probably want to grab expansive ideas at some point and actually colonize, but I think early on, we're just going to have a lot of really, 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 really good targets. I'm a little bit worried about our national unrest. Is there an idea for tolerance? Maybe under administrative. There is. Now, I actually don't know what, if we are Aztec, I don't know what religious group we're going to fall under. These are going to be, okay, I'm sure the Sunnis are going to be heathens. I just don't know if the animists and shamans are going to be heathens or heretics. I actually don't know that. Now we could bypass the thing and just get better missionary strength, so that when we do go and capture them, oh, that's administrative. When we do go and conquer this territory, we can convert it over to the Aztec religion a lot faster. Might be super valuable. I will want global trade power, but not right away. Same thing with trade efficiency. I think early on, we are going to want the... I can't take any more admin. I'm actually surprised we don't have more military stuff going on here. Bonus manpower recovery might be good. Can we just get more manpower overall? I don't see that in the... Oh, national manpower modifier. Yeah, we just want, like, more people as a cap that we can sort of throw at our enemies. Morale of the navies is okay, but it's not super critical at this time. This might be the one where we want to bring the national unrest, because I think that's going to be pretty useful for us. We already have a modifier, but this will, like... I really think a national unrest is going to be something we're going to be fighting with throughout the entirety of the game. Let's get some tax modifier over here, maybe. Or we need more diplomatic stuff, so let's go ahead and do that. Actually, you know what we're going to want at this point? The global settler increase. We're going to want to be able to colonize a little bit faster. Go and bring that up. And it might be nice for us to put in one extra level of diplomatic and military on early. That brings us to 101. If I make myself slightly older, that will bring the cost down. Okay, I think this is a fine... We are, like, pretty aggro-oriented. This is going to be a heavy warfare game. Although, I'm worried, because the last Let's Play I just did was pretty warfare-oriented. I was thinking of doing a lot more colonization in this game. But this is actually a pretty bad place to start doing that. And especially with the religious thing, I think we're just going to be forced into a lot of war. And we won't do early colonization. Might do a little bit of late game colonization. And certainly our goal will be to conquer all of Africa. So that might work. Maybe we don't need the global settler increase. We'll just let the Europeans colonize it, and then we'll take it over afterwards. Might be a better idea. And then we get the land maintenance modifier over here when we complete all the ideas, which is going to be great late game. Worth a lot of points. You know what? Let's stop thinking about it too much. We'll see how the game develops over time. I'm looking forward to a lot of early warfare over here. We'll get a big chunk of control over Africa. And mostly our goal in this game is going to be to control all of Africa. We may not need any global settler increase at all, actually. Especially as we get to higher technology groups, we'll be able to fill in any blank that happen to be blank. Reducing war exhaustion, diplomatic annexation costs, aggressive expansion impact. I wonder if it's worth picking any of that up. Obviously, we're going to be expanding pretty aggressively. May not matter. You know what we actually want? We're going to want an extra merchant. That's going to be way better. Whoa, that is expensive. Okay, maybe something else then? Reduce war exhaustion. These are all super expensive. It would be nice to sort based on the cost. There we go. Provincial trade power modifier. This is going to give us control over more trade later on. Quite nice. Do I want to level any of these things up? Or stability even? Cost me 10 and 10. There we go. Do it that way. And then if I go and bring down my age, there we go. We're back to 100. All right, I like it. Hey, I start off 18 points for Quil 18. I like it. It'd be nice if I could start as 18 years old. But there we go. So I hope you like this little intro too. So we're going to get done. We've got Belgium selected. I can go ahead and hit play. Now we'll be playing as this nation. So yes, like I said, I hope you like this intro to the nation designer. I hope you know, the buttons are quite obvious in how they work and that you can enjoy in the game. And if you want to see how Belgium does here, stay tuned for my Let's Play, which will be, well, it'll be uploaded basically right after this video. See you next time, folks.